Every morning, before I even open my eyes, I get a reminder that I'm in debt. Not from a person, from my phone. It lights up with another payment due, another number I can't afford. This is what it's like being a college student in San Francisco, where surviving costs more than living. It's 6:47 a.m., and the first sound I hear isn't my alarm. It's the soft ping of my phone. Another notification about my student loan payment reminder. Then another one from my credit card app. Payment due in 3 days. The screen glows in the dim light of my tiny studio apartment, the kind of place you wouldn't believe costs $100 a month until you've actually seen it. The desk is buried under a pile of textbooks, sticky notes, and yesterday's cold coffee. There's a laundry basket in the corner filled with clothes I keep meaning to wash. And the air? A mix of instant noodles and the faint smell of cleaning spray. I sit on my desk chair staring at my phone for a good minute, the light reflecting on my tired face. Another bill, another reminder that surviving college isn't just about grades, but it's about money. So much money. My name is Ashley, and I'm a sophomore at San Francisco State University. I grew up in a quiet suburb outside Sacramento. My family is, well, comfortable. We're not rich, but my parents always made sure I had what I needed. New clothes for school, money for birthday gifts, trips to the mall. Nothing too crazy, but enough that I never had to worry. When I got accepted to SFSU, I was so confident. I had a color-coded spreadsheet for my expenses. I even watched budgeting videos on YouTube. In my head, I was prepared. I'd live independently, study hard, and handle my finances like an adult. What I didn't know was that living in San Francisco is like playing a video game on hard mode, except the monsters are rent, groceries, and transportation. I still remember the day I arrived in San Francisco. I stepped off the bus with 2 suitcases, a backpack, and a head full of plans. The air smelled like coffee and fog. Everything felt exciting until I started looking for an apartment. I thought I was prepared, I told myself. I had a budget. I had a plan. But nobody told me that everything here is more expensive than it should be. That first week, I must have walked 10 miles around the city, following Craigslist listings, Facebook groups, and for rent signs. Every place was either too small, too dirty, or too expensive. Actually, usually all three. When I finally found a room that didn't smell like mildew, the landlord said it was $100 a month. A tiny space with one window. The kind of window that barely lets in sunlight because it faces a brick wall. I stood there, smiling and nodding like I could afford it, but inside, my brain was screaming. I thought of my friend in Boston who pays roughly the same. But at least she has a proper apartment, a real kitchen, and even a balcony. Here, I get a closet with Wi-Fi. But I took it. I had to. Because in San Francisco, if you hesitate, someone else will rent it before you blink. Signing that lease felt like jumping off a cliff, a very expensive cliff. After moving in, I tried to make my little room feel like home. I pinned photos from my old bedroom on the wall, put fairy lights over the desk, and bought a cheap rug from Target. But no matter what I did, it never quite felt the same. Maybe because back home, I never had to count every dollar before buying milk. Then came my first grocery trip. I walked into Safeway with a list in hand. Eggs, rice, milk, vegetables, maybe some snacks. 20 minutes later, I was standing in line with a small basket, not even half full, and the total came out to $60 Eggs, $6 a dozen. Rice, $30 for a bag. A jar of peanut butter, $7.99. I stared at the receipt like it was written in another language. This can't be right, I whispered. But it was. That's when I started to understand why so many students live on ramen noodles and instant coffee. Cooking at home wasn't cheaper here. It was just less expensive than eating out. From that day on, my diet became a rotation of oatmeal, rice, and frozen vegetables. Sometimes I'd treat myself to a sandwich, but only on days when I hadn't cried over my bank balance yet. Just when I thought I was getting used to it, transportation hit me. A monthly Muni Pass costs $127. That's just for buses and trains around the city. Add in Uber rides when I'm running late or need to get somewhere safer at night. Forget it, that's luxury. I learned quickly that walking distance in San Francisco means uphill both ways. There were days I'd walk over 2 miles just to save $2 on the bus fare. At least I got something out of it, my stamina. I might not be learning calculus that fast, I joke, but my legs? They're getting a degree in endurance. By mid-semester, I'd stopped using Uber entirely. My sneakers became my best friends, and my budget thanked me for it. But rent and groceries weren't the only enemies. There were the hidden costs, the ones nobody warns you about. Laundry, $4.50 a load, and that's if the machine doesn't eat your quarters. Phone bill, $60 a month. Netflix, $16. Amazon Prime, $14.99. Spotify, $10.99. It doesn't sound like much, but when you're counting every dollar, those numbers hurt. Each little subscription, each small fee, like tiny paper cuts that bleed your bank account dry. I started canceling things one by one. First Netflix, then Prime. Eventually, I just used the free Wi-Fi on campus and watched YouTube ads like a champ. After 3 months, I sat down with my spreadsheet, the same one I'd proudly made before moving here, and updated all the numbers. The result? Rent, $200 groceries, $350 transport, $127 utilities and Wi-Fi, $90 miscellaneous, laundry, phone, etc. $200 total, $119.67 per month. And that's without emergencies or going out, without new clothes, without any fun. I'm spending over $2,000 a month on just to survive, I wrote in my journal. I'm a student, but I live like an employee who doesn't get paid. That night, I cried quietly at my desk. Not because I was broke, but because I realized how fragile independence really is. My parents helped as much as they could, but their financial support wasn't enough for San Francisco prices. Every month, I had to call home, that awkward, guilty call, to ask for a little more. "Are you sure you're okay?" my mom would ask. "Do you need more money?" I'd always lie a little. "I'm fine, Mom, just a few unexpected expenses." But the truth was, I wasn't fine. I was learning how to survive in one of the most expensive cities in America. So I made changes. I found a roommate, another student named Maya. We split the rent, shared groceries, and took turns cooking. Suddenly, life felt a little less impossible. We even turned our small, cramped apartment into something that felt cozy. Mismatched mugs, thrifted blankets, a candle that smelled like vanilla. When you're broke, those small comforts mean everything. I picked up a part-time job at the campus cafe, $16 an hour. Not much, but it helped. Between classes, shifts, and homework, I barely had time to breathe. But at least I wasn't panicking every time my phone buzzed with a payment reminder. Now, a year later, I've learned more about money than any class could ever teach me. I learned that budgeting isn't just math, it's discipline. That cooking rice perfectly is an underrated life skill. That walking instead of Uber isn't just good for the wallet. It clears your head too. And most importantly, I learned how to say no. No to expensive hangouts. No to things I can't afford just to fit in. No to pretending everything's fine when it's not. If you're a student watching this, maybe dreaming of studying in a big city, here's what I wish someone had told me. Write down every expense, every single one. Don't be afraid to share a room. It's not glamorous, but it's real life. Meal prep like it's a religion. And above all, learn to say no without guilt. Because college isn't just about earning a degree. It's about learning how to live, even when living is the hardest subject of all. If you've ever found yourself counting every dollar for rent, food, or just trying to survive college life, share your story in the comments below. I'd really love to hear what it's been like for you. And if this video feels a little too familiar, don't forget to like, share it with your friends who are also struggling with living expenses, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep telling more student money stories. Real stories from real people. just trying to survive in expensive cities like this.